Oh, Supreme Court of Appeal Judge President Mandisa Maya is back in the hot seat today. She's interviewing for the position of Deputy Chief Justice. Maya is the only candidate for the job and, if selected, will become the first woman to hold that office. The JSC, I'm sure you remember, facing criticism over its interviewing process, with some questions labelled demeaning and inappropriate. So let's head over to eNCA's Heidi Jokos watching the interview for us, joining us from Santon. Hello to you, Heidi. I see an empty room behind you, and it feels like we've been here before. We're all waiting to see Judge Maya, but also the kind of questions that are going to be asked, because that was the overwhelming story around the previous interviews, wasn't it?
Yes, certainly, Gareth. I think there was much criticism with regards to the line of questioning in the previous round of interviews. We do know that Judge President of the Supreme Court, Mandisa Maya, was interviewed for the Chief Justice position in February this year. Of course, we do know that Raymond Zondo got that position. However, the line of questioning with regards to whether or not the country is ready for a first female Chief Justice, she took exception to that. She had indicated that that is not a question that should be asked. Rather, is the country ready for a male Chief Justice? And rather, the questioning should be around whether or not the candidate is capable of being the next Chief Justice. Of course, we do know this interview process will be for Deputy Chief Justice. She has accepted that nomination. We do know that that position became vacant when Chief Justice Raymond Zondo moved into that position permanently and was appointed the Chief Justice by President Cyril Ramaphosa. So it's going to be interesting to see the line of questioning this time around, but the predictions are that it's not going to be anything like it was in February. It's going to be rather smooth because this is not the first time that Judge President Mandisa Maya will be conducting this kind of interview. She has been here before, twice if I'm not mistaken, so this will be her third time conducting this kind of interview and subjecting herself to the JSC. So it will be interesting to see what happens, but a very capable candidate, Gareth, we must mention. She has managed to turn the Supreme Courts of Appeal around. She has managed to turn it into one of the best courts in this country as a female, but also as a very capable Judge President. So we'll just have to wait and see what kind of questions will be raised. But the fact that she's already accepted the nomination and she is the only candidate that is going to be interviewed for this position, I don't want to say that it's already in the bag, but basically she's the only candidate for this that's been nominated for this position, and she's the only one that's going to be interviewed here this morning for that position.
And Heidi, just as I say goodbye to you, tell us what time we're expecting the interviews to start, because I think a lot of people would like to tune in for that and see the kind of questions and answers. Of course, we also need to take a look at who's going to be on the panel for this. I don't have to run through the entire list, of course, but there was some criticism around who was on the panel for the interviews for the Chief Justice position, wasn't there?
Yes, certainly. So what's important is the fact that Chief Justice Raymond Zondo will be chairing this particular interview because he is the Chief Justice. So he will be chairing this. Previously, he was not chairing because he was being interviewed for that Chief Justice position. There are a number of other commissioners as well who will be conducting these interviews, and also political parties will be raising their questions. For example, you have Julius Malema from the EFF. You have a number of other individuals who will be questioning Judge President Mandisa Maya. But Gareth, just before we end this interview, I think it's important to highlight the fact that Judge President Mandisa Maya has made it very clear what her vision is for the judiciary. She's made it very clear that in her previous interview. So I think she might just be rehashing a lot of that. The fact that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. It's just about fixing a lot of the problems and making sure that the judiciary works for the people, and definitely highlights a lot of the issues. She's also highlighted the fact that there needs to be sexual assault policies and structures in place to deal with how many female judges are subjected to sexual assault, and this is normally just brushed under the mat and not addressed. So she's very stern in her ideas and her plans for the judiciary, and hopefully if she does get this position, she will be able to implement this as the Deputy Chief Justice, working with other judges and working with the Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. So again, we are going to hear her plans for the judiciary, and she'll most definitely be asked these questions. I do hope, Gareth, as a female, I must say, that we hope she won't be asked the question if the country is ready for the first Deputy Chief Justice, because she's made herself very clear that it's not about gender, it's about capabilities and skills, and if it's the right person for the position, despite the fact that you might be a male or a female.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Heidi Jokos, thank you very much. Live updates, you can follow Heidi on Twitter as well. She updates very quickly. I don't know how she types so quickly on Twitter, but she'll do that there for you, of course. Regular updates here on eNCA.